In this episode, we are going to discuss 5 ways remarriage raises the stakes and how smart couples prepare.
Yeah, remarriage isn't just a second chance, it's a higher stakes game most couples underestimate.
And it's interesting because there are challenges with remarriage that most couples don't see, and that happened to us. Like, we really needed counseling and someone to help and guide us, and when we went through that, we were just like so thankful. So we want to do that today. We want to discuss some things. Remarriage is different from marriage.
It is different. And if you don't recognize how remarriage raises the stakes, you risk repeating the same mistakes.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No.
And, in our remarriage, we had counseling from the beginning. Well, we had pre-counseling, pre-marriage.
Pre-counseling,
Yes.
yeah.
Some of the things that were brought up were interesting because we never even thought of them for our remarriage because we didn't even know to think of it. So we're going to share some of those things, with you because there's challenges that you don't see coming if you're basing it on your old marriage.
That's true.
You've probably heard us mention this before.
We were the children of divorced parents, and we both have been divorced ourselves.
And now we're 15 years strong in our remarriage journey. So trust us when we say we get it when starting over and building a new life together. If you're ready to reclaim your power in love, life, and money, I wrote Power Over All just for you. It's real, it's encouraging, and it's meant to walk with you as you heal and grow. There's also a companion journal to help you track your progress and reflect all year long. Grab your copy today and step fully into the power God already gave you. Links in the description. Now let's get back to the episode. Number 2 is that the financial stakes are higher and more complex in a remarriage.
Yes, they're very much more complex because you're coming in with having maybe more children, having assets, built businesses, investments. You're dealing with, things, debt from your prior relationship. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of financial things that people deal with coming in. And so you and your new spouse have to overcome all of those previous challenges.
And if you have a lot of things that you want to protect, then the conversation about prenups needs to happen, because if that's really a deterrent for you, like I don't trust, or, I need to make sure my assets are covered for my children, or however you're thinking, then this is why people even bring that up. And some people are like, well, it's not really love if you have it, but remarriage is not all about love. It's about building a new life together. A prenup doesn't, I would say,
it doesn't seem like it's a loving thing to have a prenup. When people hear that word, it hasn't gotten a good rap.
Yeah.
I'll just say it like that.
And the prenup doesn't have to govern how you interact in your marriage. The prenup is supposed to help if this marriage dissolves. That's really what the protection is.
I would say also it's more than just if it dissolves, because if it dissolves, yes, we understand that part. But also it gives you a security and a clarity of what we are going to do in this marriage financially.
There's also a need for transparency, financial transparency in remarriage, because there are, children's inheritance sometimes for people who have children. There is child support and how that affects the budget.
And these are for children outside of the house. Or inside, there's different. You have children outside of the house, and you have children inside the house.
Any children that you have to be clear about that, because people don't play about their kids. So you want to have a level of transparency that may have been totally different in your marriage.
And clarity is key.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be clear on what's happening with the money.
Yes.
What's going on? Where do we stand? How much do we have? You want to understand, what are we putting it in? What are we staying away from? There's a lot of things that should be discussed during this part.
And when you were re-singled, you weren't remarried, you were in the single stage, you might have had a certain spending style. And I say that, in our situation, both of us were working when we got together. Okay. So we had our own money, our own accounts,
Our own places.
And so then we had to decide, like, okay, how are we going to do this? That was a discussion. I don't think it was a tough discussion. I just think it was, hey, we have to have this up front. How do we want to go about this when we're married?
And the reason we had those discussions is because we wanted to become one with each other in this remarriage. We're trying to eliminate anything that's going to keep us apart or harm the remarriage.
Yeah, and we wanted to be strategic about what our money is going to be doing in the future. Because one of the things we talked about is we wanted to have children ourselves.
Together.
So then how does that look? And then that's when I told you I would rather not work while we have children. You were like, well, wait a minute.
Because
that was something new.
It's something new. It was a change. So it also, something like that can also bring a trigger to a relationship because of previous conversations that someone had with their ex-spouse.
Yeah.
Or
and
someone they were with.
Because you were used to everyone working in the household. That was an adult. I had a different dynamic in my previous marriage because there were no children. And so I hadn't even thought about it until we got together. I don't think I want to have a 9-to-5 job. I don't mind working or working from home or something like that. But I had to express that desire to you.
Well, you also taught me that just because a person is not working, and I'm sure a lot of moms will understand this.
Yeah.
Just because a person is not working doesn't mean they're not adding value to the relationship or the household. Saving money helps as well. Saving money in every area.
Being able to cook and not
or with the children
and not out to eat. Of course, childcare is definite.
Yes, you help with the children by providing them with food from your physical body.
Yes.
And you also cooked for all of us. So that saves on going out to restaurants.
Right. And I know it was hard for you to understand that not having a check weekly or biweekly, I don't know how I was getting paid then, that not having it could outweigh having one, or how does that work? Because we were talking about
childcare.
Well, not just childcare, but those are kind of like the obvious one when you have kids, but the traveling, the gas, when we sat down and did all of our numbers, like this is how much we're spending. This is how much it's taking for us to both work. We were like, oh, well, we can make this work.
We can put something into our own business and then we can grow that. And, it can help the entire family.
Right. It was in the flexibility too, where now I know when you were a single dad, some of the things you had to do, you had to take off work and, miss work to do those things.
So we're talking about financial stakes are higher and more complex. So, when you came to me and told me that you didn't want to work a 9-to-5 when we had our children.
Yes.
That was a little bit of it took me through a mind shift.
It was like shocking to you.
Yeah, it was shocking because now I saw life a little bit differently.
Yeah. How did that make you feel?
Well, in one aspect, I was, like I said, shocked. But then I came to realize and understand that by you being home, that actually helped us to save money, eliminate loans, and also get better rates on different things that we needed to do.
Right. Eliminated some of our expenses.
Yes.
But it was like a financial pressure.
At first, I felt a mind thought of financial pressure. And then the reality came that you would help me at home and we would eliminate a lot of our expenses.
Well, there was other things too, like we were able to see the kids more because I was home.
That's a big one.
You didn't have to take off work.
Less travel.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to take off work for anything. And so if the kids had like, a day off, they could come and spend with us because a parent was home and then you could come home after work and see them.
Yeah. So when the school shut down on that day that you didn't think was going to shut down and you have to call your boss and say, hey, I need to take this day off because, the snow's there or what have you.
Yeah.
And now I have to stay at home with the children. I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. So we worked that out. That was definitely different because not in either one of our past marriages was that the dynamic.
No.
And so understanding our finances, having a plan for how we wanted to handle our finances in our situation was a big thing we had to talk about.
Yes. And I think that is a vital conversation that all remarried people have to have.
Yes.
Because it's talking about, finances.
Yeah. And it's also, your spending styles. How do you do that? Are you an overspender? Are you an underspender? How are you guys going to work together? It's so much more important in a remarriage because kind of piggybacking on one, there's a lot of emotional baggage that's still there. So any kind of misunderstanding or misalignment can definitely cause, it can cause more of a disruption than it needs to be.
And one thing I'd like to say is I'm very happy that neither one of us in this relationship were super spenders. That's what I would call it, is a super spender. And we're really not penny pinchers, but we are watchers of our funds.
I think we try to be wise.
Yeah, we try to be wise with it. And we're not too extreme on either side. We're just kind of, looking to do well, but with each other, by each other, and with our resources. Just being good stewards, I think, that did help us. And if you are dealing with someone who is not a good steward, then you're going to want to work together to decide who is going to lead the finances. Yes.
Who is going to be in charge of that. So in your remarriage, you may need to have separate finances.
Yes. So having that conversation will help to decide on the next step. What do we do with these finances?
Right. How are we going to move forward? How are we going to blend our assets?
Because to me, it doesn't make sense to put the one person who doesn't do well financially
in charge.
In charge. They don't have good financial acumen. They don't understand numbers. They don't want to do it. And that kind of stuff, you want to get past that. Sometimes you may have to have two separate accounts for specific areas of your life.
And I know a lot of couples that we've talked to, some say they're concerned about the debt the other one has. And I have seen people pay off other people's debt.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a lot of debt coming in, but I didn't pay off your debt. You paid your debts. I just helped manage you. Like we were saying, renegotiate rates, things like that. But that can be daunting to a person because a lot of times in your first marriage, no one has debt yet, or you're accruing it together or something like that. But with remarriages, people can come with a whole debt, credit card, student loans, mortgage,
child support.
Yeah, that's not really debt though.
But it's money going out of your house.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about you came with a number.
Yes, it could be
of what you owe
because you're owing more on your vehicle that's not worth as much.
Anything. So sometimes that can scare people, especially if they were debt free and they worked really hard to get everything paid off.
So you love the person, but you don't love the debt. It's like, now we have to discuss how are we going to get past that, because I do love you. I want to be with you.
Yes.
But I don't want to be in debt.
So that financial transparency has to be
discussed.
Heightened. Yeah. Yes, it has to be better when you're in a remarriage.
So the second time you're considering marriage, it's not just about love anymore. We hope that this helps you with the 5 ways remarriage raises the stakes, and now you know how smart couples prepare.
Right, and you can approach it with wisdom instead of fear.
Yes. This was a great conversation.
It was needed.
And so thanks for listening to this episode, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.